Now, Reform UK leader Nigel Farage has claimed that his party was now the opposition to Labour after a YouGov survey puts Mr Farage's party ahead at 19 points and the Conservatives trading behind by 1 point on 18 in voting intention in a crossover moment in the latest blow to Tories' hopes of returning to government. So why don't we hear what Nigel Farage had to say a little earlier on today?
And I'm putting it to you that I believe I can be that voice of opposition. I'm pretty clear and consistent in what I stand up for. I'm not afraid of a fight. I don't bow to Twitter pressure or the mob on the streets. I've taken on the European Union, I've taken on the big banks, and I'm pretty certain I can take on a Labour government headed by Keir Starmer that will have almost no honeymoon period whatsoever, will inherit some very, very deep problems, and I don't think has the radical solutions to sort the country out.
Well, I can now speak with the Conservative Health Minister, Maria Caulfield. Maria, welcome to the show. Always a pleasure to have your company. So Nigel Farage there in typically feisty form, as you'd expect, saying the Reform Party is now the real opposition. And he went on further to say a vote for the Conservatives is now a wasted vote in the red wall. A vote for the Conservatives in the red wall is now a vote for Sir Keir Starmer. How do you react to that?
Well, there has been one poll which showed that Reform were 1 point ahead of the Conservatives, but most polls show they're significantly behind. And I think most, even Nigel himself, would acknowledge that they're unlikely to win many seats at all. And the choice that people will have across this country on the 4th of July is who will be the next Prime Minister. And it'll be one of two people. It'll either be Rishi Sunak or it will be Keir Starmer. And we've seen with the manifesto launch from Labour this week, that tax rises are on the cards. So people have to make a decision. Can they afford a Labour government who have plans to tax their homes with re-evaluation of council tax, their cars, by lifting that fuel duty freeze that we have kept over the years of our government, and just tax more generally? You know, we're introducing tax cuts, national insurance in particular, and for the self-employed, and the triple lock plus, so the state pension will not fall into that tax threshold. So people have a choice to make. And I know Nigel, and I'm a fellow Brexiteer. I have a lot of respect for Nigel, but we've got a serious choice to make now. Who will run the country? And it can only be one of two people.
Well, Nigel Farage also threw down the gauntlet to the BBC, demanding to be in the leaders' debates based on this current polling. He also challenged Sir Keir Starmer to a head-to-head debate on immigration. Do you think it'd be a good idea for the Prime Minister Rishi Sunak to go head-to-head with Nigel Farage and face the music directly? Because it seems at the moment that Mr Farage is the problem that isn't going away for the Conservatives. Perhaps the best way to put this to bed is to duke it out on the telly.
Well, I think it's really important to have this debate about why we're the only party at the moment who have got a plan to get down illegal immigration and to put the record straight. Until we left the EU in 2020, when Boris came along, we were still obliged to deal with free movement of people. So we couldn't bring in the restrictions we wanted to. And it was Boris who came in, who got Brexit done. And within a few weeks of that election, we were straight into COVID. And so some of the work we wanted to do on immigration then was held back. But since Rishi's come in as Prime Minister, we're actually starting to get illegal immigration down. We've brought in an Australian point system so we can decide who comes and works here legally. We've taken tough action on student dependent visas, and we're already seeing, just the figures are out this week, that they are down 30%. So thousands of fewer people entering this country. And on illegal migration, we're taking really tough action. You've seen the footage yourself of the Rwanda plan sending illegal migrants to Ireland because they don't want to come here because they're afraid of being deported. Now, if Sir Keir Starmer comes in, all of that is scrapped and we're back to square one with immigration at levels that we can't control. So there are reasons why over the lifetime of the Conservative government, we've not been able to get to grips at the speed we would have liked. But since we left the EU back in 2020, we have made some radical steps that are making a difference in getting those numbers down. And what I would say to the British people is don't put that at risk. We've got a legal migration system which we can control about who comes and lives and works here. And they pay their NHS surcharge thousands of pounds a year to do so. and the illegal.
Okay, Maria, I'm joining. I need to interject. I'm joined in the studio by Chris Hope, our political editor. He's got a question he'd like to fire at you.
Maria, hello. Hi, great to see you again. A very, very quick question. Just a basic maths question. If you add 18 to 17, you get 35. The Reform UK is on 18, the Tories on 17. 35% is Labour's lead in the polls. Now, why don't you do some form of arrangement, some deal with the Reform Party? Because currently, for all your talk of new policies, the punters aren't listening. You've got to start connecting to these 18% of Reform UK voters to get on level terms with the Labour Party.
Well, Nigel Farage has been pretty clear that his mission isn't to kind of deal with issues like immigration. It's to destroy the Conservative Party. I am saying to voters on my doorsteps that actually, if those people who are right wing, who believe that what we're doing in terms of centre right, believe what we're doing in terms of immigration, they've got to stick with us, because or else we've got a decade of socialism. And that's, the message that people have got. It's Keir Starmer or Rishi Sunak who will be Prime Minister after July the 4th. And Nigel Farage has been pretty clear. There's no deals on the table. He wants to eradicate the Conservative Party. I think that's, a shame, because, we are doing some good work in this space. We got Brexit done. It might not always been to the 100% degree that some people would have liked, but we've been able to tackle illegal immigration since then. And the plan is working, both legal migration in terms of, say, student visa dependents, other dependents that were traditionally allowed to come here is ending. And on illegal migration, we stopped 36,000 people crossing the channel last year. Our deal with Albania has reduced the number of Albanians by 90%.
Okay, Maria.
But people want progress. They've got to make a decision, because Nigel doesn't want a deal on the table, and that's something people have to make that decision on.
Now, Maria, Nigel Farage himself said there are 2.4 million reasons why he doesn't want to do a deal with the Conservative Party, and those are the numbers of people who've come into the country by the front door and the back door since Conservatives have been in power. But I want to put you up on that point of Brexit. You remember, as a Brexiteer, Project Fear. It didn't work. Nobody listened to the continual negative messaging. And yet today, Laura Trott's responding to the Labour manifesto. It was so gloomy. 18 Labour tax rises. Taxes will be £58 billion higher. This is unprecedented. It will be disastrous. Project Fear doesn't work. Where's the optimistic vision? Where's the hope? Where's that positive message that voters want to hear? Because it just feels like it's degenerating into a slanging match.
Well, a positive message that we can give in our manifesto, firstly on immigration, we're seeing the numbers falling, even without a flight taking off. We're seeing people moving to countries like Ireland to avoid coming here and being deported. But for the ordinary man and woman on the street, voting for us as Conservatives, you'll see that national insurance cut going further, with an extra £1,000 a year, less national insurance that people will be able to pay. Pensioners with the triple lock guaranteed and a bigger increase set for next year. The triple lock plus not going into that tax threshold band, keeping more of that money that they have worked very hard for. If you look at what we're saying to apprentices, young people, more apprentices so you can earn a trade, not take on tuition fees. Help to Buy being extended to first-time buyers. So if you're struggling to get that deposit together but can afford the monthly payments, that will make a big difference to young people. If you look at the work that we're doing around education, for example, that not promoting people who want to make a choice about where they send their children to school. There's lots of optimism in our manifesto, but we do also have to be clear. If Labour get in, it will mean more tax rises, and people need to make that choice. Do they want to stick with a plan that's meaning they're keeping more money, more of the money that they earn, or do they really want to put that at risk with Keir Starmer, who's not really being honest with the British people about how he'll pay for a lot of his promises?
OK, Maria Caulfield, Health Minister, we have to leave it there. Thanks for joining us on the show. Always appreciate your time. Thank you very much. And let's get back to studio. Chris, a quick bit of analysis to that. They're having to respond all the time now. Isn't that a problem? If you're responding to what Labour do all the time, if you're responding to what Nigel Farage does all the time, you're constantly on a back foot, and there's no opportunity anymore to get that positive message out. It feels like the Conservatives are on the ropes.
It does, and you've got to do something to get that poll figure going up somewhere. It's been around 20 points really since Mr Sunak became the Prime Minister. There's a poll out just now from BMG for the I newspaper saying that nearly half of Tory voters want greater cooperation with Nigel Farage's party. And that's why you asked the question. Look at the maths, Maria Caulfield. Look at the maths, Rishi Sunak. If you even take half that support away from the Reform Party, the Tory Party is back in the game. It's all to play for. There's 2.5 weeks left. Until something like that happens, it's not going to happen. And now we're talking about what happens if, say, Reform UK become the second biggest party by votes counted, but they win 4 MPs. The Tories are third, but win maybe 100 MPs. How is that fair? Will that be accepted by Reform UK voters? And that's why you hear Nigel Farage not ruling out joining the Tory Party as an MP, crossing the floor and tunneling his way in like some kind of a virus and taking over the party. I mean, what's happening right now is, in a sense, the Tory Party is like in Jaws when they're chucking chum over the back of the boat, the orca, and it's being attacked by sharks, like the Tories are a bait ball being attacked by Labour and the Reform UK Party.
And all of a sudden, Jaws comes from the deep with a ciggy in the corner of its mouth and chomp.
Yeah, with a big
That could be what Nigel Farage does to the good ship Conservative Party now.